Have you ever woken up, eyes heavy, body sluggish, and wondered why you feel as though you've been carrying the world on your shoulders through the night?
Why does exhaustion cling to you like a shadow, even when you've slept for hours? You're tired, not just the kind of tired that a strong cup of coffee or a weekend nap can fix, but a deeper, more insidious fatigue that seeps into your bones, your mind, your soul. It's a weariness that no amount of rest seems to cure, a silent weight that presses down on you, day after day, until you barely notice it anymore. But it's there, isn't it? And it's whispering a truth you've been too busy or too afraid to hear. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, once said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." This is the first brutal reality we must confront. Your exhaustion is not merely a byproduct of a hectic schedule or a lack of sleep. It is a symptom, a signal, a cry from the depths of your being that something is profoundly out of alignment. You are running from yourself, from your truth, from the life you were meant to live. And running, as we all know, is exhausting. Picture this: you're walking through life, carrying an invisible backpack. Inside it are all the things you've refused to look at, your unfulfilled dreams, your suppressed fears, the expectations you've shouldered to please others, the parts of yourself you've buried to fit in. This backpack isn't light. It grows heavier with every year, every choice, every moment you choose safety over authenticity, conformity over courage. You don't notice the weight at first. You're too busy keeping up with the demands of work, family, society. But over time, it slows you down. It drains you. It makes every step feel like a battle. Let me tell you about Anna, a 35-year-old marketing manager I once heard about. Anna had it all, or so it seemed: a stable job, a loving husband, 2 bright children, and a calendar packed with activities. She was the picture of success, always on the move, always checking boxes. But every night, when the house grew quiet, Anna would collapse into bed, her body heavy with a fatigue she couldn't explain. She wasn't sick, not physically. She wasn't overworked, not compared to others. Yet she felt drained, as if something vital was leaking out of her with every passing day. She tried everything: vitamins, exercise, meditation apps, but the exhaustion lingered, a silent companion she couldn't shake. Anna's story is not unique. Millions of us live this way, mistaking busyness for purpose, productivity for fulfillment. We fill our days with noise, meetings, errands, social media, endless to-do lists, because silence is too dangerous. Silence forces us to listen, and listening might mean hearing things we're not ready to face. So we keep moving, keep doing, keep running, until our bodies and souls scream for us to stop. But do we? Or do we reach for another distraction, another quick fix, another excuse to avoid the truth? Why are you so tired? Ask yourself, why are you so tired? Is it really just the late nights or the early mornings? Is it the deadlines, the traffic, the endless notifications pinging on your phone? Or is it something deeper, something you've been avoiding for years? Jung believed that the human psyche is not a machine that can be pushed indefinitely. It is a living, breathing entity with its own needs, its own voice. When we ignore that voice, when we suppress our desires, deny our fears, or live a life that doesn't belong to us, the psyche rebels. It sends us signals, and exhaustion is one of its loudest. Consider this: every time you say yes when you mean no, you add a stone to that invisible backpack. Every time you silence a dream because it feels impractical, you tighten the straps. Every time you wear a mask to please others, whether it's the mask of the perfect employee, the dutiful parent, or the always happy friend, you drain a little more of your life force. This is not a metaphor, it's a psychological truth. Jung taught us that the energy of the psyche is finite. When we spend it on living inauthentically, we have less for joy, for creativity, for love, for life itself. Let's pause for a moment. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what am I carrying that isn't mine? Is it your parents' expectations, still dictating your career at 40? Is it society's definition of success, pushing you to chase money over meaning? Is it the fear of failure, keeping you from taking that one step toward your true calling? Whatever it is, it's heavy, and it's making you tired. Here's another brutal truth. Running from yourself is not just exhausting, it's unsustainable. You can't outrun your soul. Jung warned that when we avoid our inner truth, the psyche finds ways to make itself heard. For some, it's exhaustion. For others, it's anxiety, depression, or a vague sense of emptiness that no achievement can fill. The longer we ignore these signals, the louder they become, until they manifest as crises, burnout, breakdowns, or moments when we look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person staring back. I think of Michael, a 45-year-old accountant who spent decades building a life that checked all the boxes. He had a corner office, a six-figure salary, a house in the suburbs. But Michael was tired, not the kind of tired that comes from long hours, but a soul-deep weariness that made every day feel like a slog. One evening, after a particularly grueling week, he sat down with a glass of whiskey and asked himself a question he'd been avoiding for years. Is this really my life? The answer terrified him. Michael had always wanted to be a musician, but he'd buried that dream under layers of practical choices. The exhaustion he felt wasn't from his job. It was from the effort of pretending to be someone he wasn't. Michael's story is a wake-up call. How many of us are living lives that belong to someone else? How many of us are so busy meeting expectations that we've forgotten what we truly want? Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear to navigate the world. The persona is necessary. It helps us function in society. But when we let it define us, when we mistake it for who we are, we pay a price. That price is our energy, our vitality, our joy. So what do? How do we begin to lighten this silent weight? The first step is simple but radical. We must listen. Not to the noise of the world, not to the demands of others, but to the quiet voice within. Jung believed that the psyche speaks to us in whispers, through dreams, intuitions, moments of inexplicable longing. But to hear it, we must create space for silence. Try this. Tonight, before you go to bed, sit for 5 minutes with a notebook and a pen. Turn off your phone, dim the lights, and ask yourself, why am I so tired? Write down whatever comes to mind, no matter how messy or trivial it seems. Don't judge, don't censor, just write. This small act of listening is a rebellion against the noise of the world. It's a declaration that your soul matters, that your truth deserves to be heard. This is not about fixing everything overnight. It's about starting a conversation with yourself, one that you've likely avoided for years. Jung once said, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases." Your exhaustion is unique to you, a map to your own truth. Only you can read it, but you must be willing to look. Let me leave you with this. Your tiredness is not a curse. It is a call to awaken. It is your psyche's way of saying, you are more than this. You are meant for more than this. The weight you carry is heavy, but it is not permanent. You can set it down, one stone at a time, by daring to face yourself. It won't be easy. It will demand courage, honesty, and a willingness to let go of the life you've been told to live. But on the other side of that effort is freedom. The freedom to live as your true self, to wake up each morning not with exhaustion, but with purpose. So I ask you again, why are you so tired? What are you running from? And what might happen if you stopped, just for a moment, and turned to face the truth? The journey begins here, in the quiet, in the listening, in the courage to acknowledge the silent weight of your exhaustion. Take that first step. Your soul is waiting. What is it that haunts you in the quiet moments, when the world falls silent and you're left alone with your thoughts? Why does your exhaustion feel like more than just a lack of rest, like a gnawing, invisible force draining the life from you? You sense it, don't you? A presence, a weight, something you can't quite name, but feel in the pit of your stomach. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the hidden, denied, or feared parts of yourself that you've pushed into the darkness of your unconscious. And here's the second brutal truth. Your tiredness is not just physical or mental. It's the energy you burn keeping your shadow at bay, fighting a war against yourself that you cannot win. Jung taught us that the shadow is not your enemy, though it feels like one. It is the repository of everything you've rejected, your doubts, your desires, your flaws, your unlived dreams. It's the voice you silence when it whispers what you truly want, the impulse you suppress to fit in, the truth you bury to avoid discomfort. But the shadow does not vanish when you ignore it. It grows heavier, hungrier, more insistent. And it feeds on your vitality, leaving you weary in ways no sleep can cure. Why do you push these parts of yourself away? Is it because you fear what they might reveal? Are you afraid that acknowledging your anger, your longing, your imperfections will unravel the carefully constructed life you've built? Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is the heart of the matter. Every time you turn away from your shadow, you surrender a piece of your power. You let it pull the strings, shaping your choices, your relationships, your exhaustion, while you call it bad luck or circumstance. Imagine your psyche as a house. The rooms you show the world are bright, polished, orderly. Your persona, the face you wear for others. But there's a locked door, one you never open, leading to a basement where your shadow lives. In that basement are all the things you've deemed unacceptable. The dream you abandoned because it seemed foolish, the resentment you swallowed to keep the peace, the creativity you stifled to be practical. You think locking the door keeps you safe, but the shadow doesn't stay quiet. It bangs on the walls, rattles the foundation, seeps into your dreams. And every effort to keep that door shut costs you energy. Energy you could be using to live, to create, to thrive. Ask yourself, what am I hiding from myself? Is it a passion you've dismissed as unrealistic? A fear you're too ashamed to admit? A truth about who you are that doesn't fit the story you've been told to tell? The longer you avoid these questions, the more exhausted you become. The shadow is not a monster. It's a part of you, crying out for integration, for acceptance, for a place at the table of your soul. Here's another harsh reality. Living inauthentically is a full-time job, and it's killing you. Every time you pretend to be someone you're not, whether it's the perfect professional, the selfless caregiver, or the always positive friend, you expend energy maintaining the illusion. You're not just lying to the world, you're lying to yourself, and that lie is a parasite on your vitality. Jung believed that the psyche craves wholeness, a state he called individuation, where all parts of the self, light and shadow, are acknowledged and integrated. When you deny your shadow, you fight against this natural drive, and the battle leaves you drained. Think about it. How much of your day is spent suppressing what you really feel? How often do you bite your tongue, smile when you want to scream, or push forward when you want to rest? Each of these moments is a transaction, a withdrawal from your psychic reserves. Over time, the account runs dry, and you're left with nothing but exhaustion. Why do you do this? Is it for approval? For security? For the illusion of control? Whatever the reason, the cost is the same. A life half-lived, a soul half-awake. Jung's wisdom cuts deep here. What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. Your shadow is not something you can outrun or outwork. It's not a problem to be solved with more discipline or better habits. It's a part of you, and until you face it, it will sap your strength, cloud your clarity, and dim your light. The exhaustion you feel is not a sign of weakness. It's a signal that your psyche is begging for reconciliation. So, how do you stop this invisible war? How do you reclaim the energy you've been pouring into denial? The answer lies in courage, the courage to turn and face your shadow, to open that locked door and see what's behind it. This is not about slaying a dragon, it's about sitting down with it, listening to what it has to say. Jung believed that the shadow holds not just our flaws, but our potential, our creativity, our passion, our untapped strength. By ignoring it, you're not just avoiding pain, you're rejecting gifts. Start small. In a quiet moment, ask yourself, what am I afraid to admit? Maybe it's that you're unhappy in your career, even though it pays the bills. Maybe it's that you resent the sacrifices you've made for others. Maybe it's that you've always wanted to paint, to travel, to start over, but you've told yourself it's too late. Write down the answer, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. This simple act of naming your shadow begins to loosen its grip. It's like shining a light into that dark basement. The shadows don't disappear, but they lose their power to terrify. Another practice is to pay attention to your triggers. Jung saw our reactions, anger, jealousy, shame, as mirrors reflecting our shadow. The next time someone or something sets you off, pause and ask, why does this bother me so much? The answer often points to something you've disowned in yourself. If you envy someone's freedom, perhaps your shadow is craving liberation. If you judge someone's selfishness, perhaps you've suppressed your own needs. These moments of discomfort are doorways to self-discovery, if you're brave enough to walk through them. Facing your shadow is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong journey. But every step you take toward integration lightens the load. When you acknowledge your fears, they lose their power to control you. When you embrace your desires, you reclaim the energy you've spent suppressing them. When you accept your imperfections, you stop wasting vitality on pretending to be perfect. Jung called this the path to wholeness, and it's the antidote to the exhaustion of inauthenticity. Let me offer you a vision. Imagine waking up one day and feeling lighter, not because your circumstances have changed, but because you've stopped fighting yourself. Imagine a life where your energy flows freely, where you're no longer divided against yourself. This is not a fantasy, it's a possibility, but it begins with a choice. Will you keep running from your shadow, or will you turn and face it? The choice is yours, but know this. The energy you spend hiding is energy you could be using to live. Jung's words echo through the ages. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your exhaustion is a call to make the darkness conscious, to bring your shadow into the light. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. But it's the only way to stop the silent drain on your soul. So I ask you, what are you afraid to see? And what might happen if you looked anyway? The answer lies not in running faster, but in standing still, in the courage to meet yourself as you are. Have you ever felt a quiet tug within you? A whisper that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once? Why does it fade the moment you turn back to the noise of your life? Your soul is speaking, but you've forgotten how to hear it. Your exhaustion, that bone-deep weariness you can't shake, is not just a symptom of overwork or avoidance. It's a sign that you've drifted too far from your true self. Carl Jung believed that the soul, the deepest part of our psyche, holds the map to our purpose, our wholeness. But to follow that map, you must learn to listen. This chapter is about reclaiming that skill, active self-reflection, a practice rooted in Jung's methods of introspection and dialogue with the unconscious. It's not a quick fix, it's a discipline, a commitment to hearing the voice you've silenced for too long. Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Here's the brutal truth. Your tiredness is the price of looking outside, of chasing external validation, success, or distractions to drown out the quiet call within. The world is loud, demanding, relentless. It drowns out your soul's whispers with deadlines, notifications, expectations. But the soul does not shout. It speaks in moments of stillness, in dreams, in fleeting glimpses of longing or unease. To hear it, you must carve out space for silence and learn to trust what you find there. How do you begin to listen when the world is so noisy? The first step is to create space for silence, not just physical quiet, but a pause in the endless chatter of your mind. Why do you fill every moment with activity, with screens, with plans? Is it because you're afraid of what you might hear if you stop? The soul thrives in stillness, but stillness is a radical act in a world that equates busyness with worth. Try this. Set aside 10 minutes each day to sit in silence. Find a quiet corner, away from your phone, your to-do list, your distractions. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What am I avoiding? Don't force answers. Let them rise like bubbles from the depths. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. This is not meditation in the traditional sense. It's an invitation to your soul to speak. At first, it may feel awkward, even unsettling. The silence might amplify your restlessness or unearth emotions you've buried. That's okay. That's the point. The soul doesn't always speak in poetry. Sometimes it speaks in discomfort, in questions, in raw truth. Write down what comes up, no matter how small or messy. A single word, a fleeting image, a pang of sadness, record it all. This act of writing is a bridge between your conscious mind and your unconscious, a way to anchor the soul's whispers before they slip away. Over time, you'll notice patterns, threads that weave together to reveal what your exhaustion is trying to tell you. What are you running from? The answer lies in these moments of quiet, if you're brave enough to linger there. Jung saw dreams as the royal road to the unconscious, a direct line to the soul's wisdom. Why do your dreams feel so vivid, so strange, yet slip away the moment you wake? They are messages encoded in symbols, emotions, and stories that bypass the logic of your waking mind. Your soul uses dreams to show you what you've ignored, your shadow, your desires, your unresolved conflicts. To listen to your soul, you must learn to listen to your dreams. Keep a notebook by your bed. Each morning, before you reach for your phone or start your day, write down whatever you remember from your dreams. Don't worry if it's fragmented. A single image, a feeling, a color is enough. Ask yourself, what does this mean to me? Don't rush to dream dictionaries or external interpretations. Jung believed the meaning of a dream is personal, rooted in your own psyche. A snake in your dream might symbolize fear, transformation, or hidden wisdom. Only you can know which. Look for recurring symbols or emotions. Do you dream of being chased, of falling, of searching for something you can't find? These are clues to what your soul is grappling with. Over time, your dream journal becomes a map of your inner world. You might notice that a recurring image of water reflects your unacknowledged emotions, or that a dream of being trapped mirrors your fear of change. The act of recording and reflecting on your dreams is a conversation with your soul, a way to hear what it's been trying to tell you all along. What is your soul asking you to see? The answer is waiting in the shadows of your sleep, if you dare to look. Your soul is not just your light, it's your darkness too. The shadow, the parts of yourself you've denied or feared, is a key part of what makes you whole. To listen to your soul, you must learn to dialogue with your shadow, to give it a voice rather than a prison. This is not about fixing or erasing your flaws. It's about understanding them, integrating them, reclaiming the energy you've spent pushing them away. Try this exercise. Write a letter to your shadow. Address it as you would a friend or a stranger who knows you better than you know yourself. Ask, what do you need from me? What have I ignored in you? Then, let your shadow respond. Write without censoring, without judging. You might be surprised by what emerges. Anger you've suppressed, dreams you've dismissed, fears you've pretended not to feel. This dialogue is a sacred act, a way to honor the parts of yourself you've banished. It's not about agreeing with your shadow, it's about listening to it. This practice can be uncomfortable. The shadow might reveal truths you'd rather not face, that you're living for others' approval, that you're afraid of your own potential, that you've settled for a life that's less than you deserve. But discomfort is a sign you're getting closer to the truth. Jung said, the meeting with oneself is, at first, the meeting with one's own shadow. This meeting is the gateway to wholeness, to a life where your energy flows freely because you're no longer at war with yourself. Listening is not enough, the soul demands action. Why do you feel that spark of longing when you imagine a different life, only to dismiss it as impractical? Your soul doesn't speak just to be heard. It speaks to guide you toward alignment, toward a life that reflects who you are. But transformation doesn't require grand gestures. It begins with small, deliberate steps, actions that honor the truths you've uncovered in your silence, your dreams, your dialogues. If your soul craves creativity, start with a single sketch, a poem, a moment of play. If it yearns for freedom, take one step toward change, a conversation, a boundary, a new habit. If it aches for connection, reach out to someone who sees you as you are. These actions are not about appending your life, they're about aligning it, bit by bit, with your truth. Each step reduces the inner conflict that fuels your exhaustion, freeing up energy for joy, for purpose, for life. Ask yourself, what is one small truth I can act on today? Maybe it's admitting you're unhappy in your routine, and taking a walk to think about why. Maybe it's picking up a hobby you abandoned years ago. Maybe it's saying no to something that drains you. These are not trivial, they are revolutionary. They are the soul's way of saying, I am here, and I matter. Learning to listen to your soul is not a one-time task, it's a lifelong practice. The world will try to pull you back into its noise, its demands, its distractions. Your own fears will tempt you to close the door on what you've heard. But every time you choose to listen, every time you sit in silence, record a dream, dialogue with your shadow, or act on a truth, you strengthen your connection to your soul. You lighten the weight of exhaustion, not by working harder, but by living truer. Jung's words ring clear. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Your soul is the compass for that journey, but you must learn to read it. This takes courage, patience, and a willingness to face what you find. What would it feel like to live as your true self? To wake up not with dread or fatigue, but with clarity, with purpose? That possibility is not a dream. It's a promise, waiting for you to claim it. So, I ask you, will you keep silencing your soul, or will you finally listen? The tools are here: silence, dreams, dialogue, action. The choice is yours. Your exhaustion is a call to awaken, to reconnect with the deepest part of you. Take the first step. Sit in the quiet. Write the letter. Act on the truth. Your soul is waiting, and it has been waiting long enough.